Hello there and welcome to the channel. I am a longtime football fan, and when I say football fan, I mean real football, European football. While football is an incredible, demanding, and passionate sport, it is impossible not to notice the political involvement in almost every aspect of it. Anything with the potential to generate enormous amounts of money inevitably attracts powerful people and organizations, many of whom have questionable motives. The organizations that govern football, UEFA and FIFA, are politically compromised in many ways. This is evident in their use of football to promote various political and social messages, such as BLM, while also punishing clubs whose fans display Palestinian flags during matches. They banned Russia from all international football competitions following the outbreak of the Russia-Ukraine war, yet continue to allow the United States and Israel to participate in every competition despite their terrible military actions in Iran and Gaza, which have caused significant destruction and continue to this day. And while we're talking about bad people and organizations, Florentino Pérez certainly belongs somewhere in that discussion. Now, he is not the president or a high-ranking official in an international football organization such as FIFA or UEFA, although he possesses influence comparable to many of them. He is the president of Real Madrid, a club that is probably both the most loved and the most hated in football, and for good reason. Not only are they one of the most controversial clubs in history, but their fan base is often insufferable. Their favorite argument is usually 15 Champions Leagues or Ronaldo is better because we say so. And honestly, I don't think I've ever heard a genuinely convincing argument from them in a football debate. For those who don't know, UCL stands for UEFA Champions League, the most prestigious club football competition in the world. Even those 15 UEFA Champions League titles start to look questionable when you take into consideration the club's history, its political connections, and especially its relationship with General Franco, the Spanish military general who ruled Spain from 1939 until his death in 1975. He governed as a military dictator after winning a brutal and bloody civil war. During his rule, Real Madrid won 6 European titles and 17 La Liga titles, alongside numerous controversies, like blocking Alfredo Di Stefano's transfer to Barcelona. This raises many questions about their history and how they accumulated so many trophies that their fans proudly and often illogically use in every possible argument, despite their apparent lack of football knowledge. Another thing I have noticed about this club is that they constantly try to bully other teams, especially after being beaten on the field. They do not accept defeat easily. While that isn't necessarily a bad thing in itself, they often express their frustrations in all the wrong ways instead of focusing on correcting mistakes and improving through training. Well, to be fair, they did eventually do that with Valverde and Tchouaméni. This mentality is particularly visible in matches against their biggest rivals, Barcelona, and I also noticed it during their Champions League tie against Arsenal. It was equally apparent during Mourinho's time at the club, and I am sure we will see it again now that the special one is back on the wheel. This mentality does not surprise me because it seems to originate from their dictator, or should I say president, Florentino Pérez, because they now have another dictator with unlimited power. All jokes aside, Florentino Pérez has served as Real Madrid president for a combined total of 23 years across 2 separate terms. His second term began in 2009 and continues to this day. He recently won another election, effectively securing his position for years to come, probably another 23 years if he manages to stay alive. There are many indications that he possesses a dictator's mindset and is an egomaniac obsessed with accumulating limitless power. To understand this, we need to go back to his humble, or perhaps not so humble, beginnings. Pérez attended university in Madrid and joined the Union of the Democratic Center Party in 1979, serving as a member of Madrid's City Council. This shows that he was heavily involved in politics from an early stage and likely developed strong connections with powerful political figures throughout Spain. In 1993, Pérez was named vice chairman of OCP Constructions. Following OCP's merger with ACS, he became chairman of the newly formed company. As of 2018, Pérez led ACS Group, Spain's largest construction company, with an estimated net worth of $2.5 billion. From this, it becomes clear that Real Madrid is ultimately a business venture for him, a side hustle compared to his primary empire. I honestly question his devotion and passion for the club. I also question his football knowledge and understanding of football culture. This becomes apparent in the way he runs the club and approaches player recruitment. Pérez first became president of Real Madrid in 2000 after winning the election with more than 55% of the vote. His campaign centered on 2 major promises: fixing the club's financial problems and signing Luis Figo from their arch-rivals Barcelona, who at the time was one of the best players in the world. He delivered on both promises and, in doing so, cemented his position as the eternal dictator of Real Madrid. Figo's arrival also marked the beginning of Pérez's policy of signing one of the world's best footballers every season. These superstar squads became known as the Galacticos. Based on everything we've seen so far, we can easily conclude that Pérez is a ruthless politician and businessman, which is fair enough. To achieve the level of success he has, one probably needs to be ruthless and unforgiving. What is not fair, however, is becoming delusional, and in my opinion, Pérez has become exactly that in recent years, especially after Joan Laporta returned as Barcelona president and appointed Hansi Flick as first-team coach. This is evident in his increasingly unhinged behavior during interviews and press conferences, as well as his obsession with the Negreira case, which, as time goes by, I become more convinced is largely his own creation. During the Bartomeu era, Pérez was nowhere to be seen on this issue. Barcelona struggled a lot during that period. The club was in severe financial trouble due to poor signings and questionable decisions made by President Bartomeu. The squad was aging and desperately needed rebuilding, but the lack of finances made that almost impossible. During those years, nobody seemed particularly concerned about the Negreira case, including Florentino Pérez. Yet the moment Barcelona started recovering under Laporta and his board, Negreira suddenly became a major issue again, and what Pérez wants as a result is, frankly, ridiculous. The punishments he advocates include stripping Barcelona of the 4 Champions League titles they have won since 2006 and excluding them from the Champions League altogether, the most prestigious and lucrative club competition in the world. Now, all of this would be perfectly reasonable if it were proven beyond any doubt. However, Spanish courts have repeatedly ruled that there is no evidence that Barcelona paid officials to influence matches in their favor. These demands for severe punishments would also make more sense if they came from institutions that actually possess the authority to investigate and enforce such measures. Instead, Pérez appears to believe that he should personally be calling for investigations and punishments against rival clubs. Perhaps he is simply accustomed to exercising that kind of influence in Spain. Florentino Pérez is doing all of this while Real Madrid TV constantly pressures and targets Spanish referees by highlighting mistakes that harmed Real Madrid while conveniently ignoring mistakes that benefited them. This is done before matches and has become a recurring practice. I find this unprecedented and ridiculous, and I strongly believe that Florentino Pérez and Real Madrid should be held accountable for pressuring and harassing institutions in an attempt to influence outcomes in their favor. There were also numerous questionable appointments involving people very close to Real Madrid in various positions within Spanish football. One such example is Chema Alonso, who was appointed as a technology and AI advisor to Spain's referee committee.
Real Madrid just made their best signing of the season. Every season, La Liga performs terribly when it comes to referee decisions. To address this, La Liga appointed Chema Alonso as the new head of AI, responsible for VAR decisions next season. But Barca fans now believe the offside lines in Real Madrid games will be drawn like this, because this guy regularly attends Real Madrid games, has pictures with the Champions League trophies at a museum. Look at his reaction when Ronaldo scored in El Clasico, and in a tweet from 2011, he literally said, "My only flaw is supporting the greatest club in history, Real Madrid."
Another similar case is Real Madrid's refereeing delegate and former La Liga referee Carlos Davila, who is married to Yolanda Parga. Parga is a prominent figure in Spanish football, serving as the informant and spokesperson for the technical committee of referees within the Royal Spanish Football Federation. These are just a couple of countless examples of how Real Madrid is connected to and practically intertwined with those who literally control football and everything surrounding it in Spain. Even the president of La Liga, Javier Tebas, has publicly admitted on multiple occasions that he is a massive Real Madrid fan. After all of this, the idea that Real Madrid is the club complaining about corruption while actively trying to sanction and punish other clubs comes across as completely hypocritical and ridiculous. He recently submitted a 500-page dossier to UEFA that supposedly contains evidence related to the Negreira case instead of focusing on his own team, which has now gone 2 consecutive seasons without winning a major trophy. And perhaps that is the real reason he appears so aggressive and bitter lately. After all, when things go wrong at Real Madrid, it always seems to be someone else's fault. Before concluding this video, it is also important to mention Florentino Pérez's connections to Israel through ACS, the Spanish construction conglomerate he leads. These ties include corporate contracts, diplomatic engagements, and international regulatory scrutiny. The United Nations included ACS and its subsidiary, SEMI, in a database of companies linked to Israeli settlements in the occupied Palestinian territories. According to the UN database, ACS was cited for the use of local resources and its involvement in the construction of infrastructure that supports and sustains those settlements. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.